Okay, let's start. So the first module we actually need is Telegram. And what we need here is actually a webhook, which let me see, watch updates. So we watch updates and we create a webhook. In this case, I already have one, which we're calling, let me see here, and we call it automations with Cosmo _3. Save. So if you don't know how to create a webhook for Telegram, I just now show you the tutorial from another video so that then we can continue from there. Enjoy. If you know already, you can skip this part. Amazing. So what we're doing now is imagine that this bot will actually receive, and we'll actually rename it in Telegram update. Let's call it Telegram update. So here we will actually send for our phone a YouTube link. This is the use case, and as soon as it's sent, this webhook will receive the update. And what we're then doing is actually introducing a text parser. So given that the YouTube link is not the YouTube video ID, which we need to parse the link. And so how we do this is that we match a certain pattern. And now this pattern uses regex, which is a specific language that you don't need to learn. You can just use ChatGPT to help you here, or some internet forums. What I'll do now is I'll just copy the expression, and you can obviously copy it from here as well. You see, it's a little bit complicated, but this is battle tested so that different YouTube links will work. The only link that doesn't work with this is live, because live has a different structure, so this won't work. And then we say here global match, case sensitive, okay. And the text will actually be in the message. Let me see the text here. So message text, what we receive inside of the update will be the text that we need to parse. Save it and close here. And then what you need to know is that the text parser actually parses the text into an array, but we only want the second part. So what we're doing here is we include a text parser because it will send a few bundles, and we actually just need this part. Okay, we save it, save anyway. Okay, and then here we set a variable which we call YouTube ID, and we get this one. So here, as it's an array, you need to get it. This is a function which means that you're getting the first item of this array. Okay, now we will need a custom API and HTTP call because we're using an API that is not included in Make, which is specific, and we can actually find it under RapidAPI. You see here already. It's a specific API endpoint that is very useful because it gets data from YouTube in a very easy way. So you could, Google also has a YouTube API which you could use. I actually like to use RapidAPI because the API calls have a standardized structure versus if you use different providers, you need to structure the API call in a different way. And so in this case, I will copy this link actually in the description so you can use it for yourself. But what we're doing here is, if you look here at video, we're actually getting the video subtitles. So this is the call that we are doing. And for the sake of efficiency, I just copy the module that I already prepared, but we'll go through it, so don't worry. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're doing an HTTP call. So what it means is that we're calling an API through the internet, which is the same as you would call like Google Drive, right? You're doing the same, but here there is a model that is pre-programmed for Make that is basically a custom app. And in this case, there is no custom app, so we need to do the call through a generalized module. And how does this work? So you see here, we have the first part is a URL, and it goes like this: YouTube v2 Rapid API, video subtitles, video ID. So how did we get this? If you look in Rapid API, right, we selected the video subtitles get. So for an API call, get means you're getting data. So you can select C and lib curl, and then you will see here the actual URL. You see it's the same, and then it has a parameter video ID equals. So this is what we did. We're actually changing and putting a dynamic value here. So the dynamic value is the YouTube ID, which obviously, depending on the video we send, will change. Then this one I need to blank out. Then we have two headers, which are always the same for Rapid API calls, which is one, your API key, which is here, which you will get once you subscribe to Rapid API. And then you have the X Rapid API host, which is just a value that you can also see in your here request URL. Actually, it's not this. You can see it here. X Rapid API host. It's this one, which you can see in your example endpoint request. You can also go on test, which will give you the results of this specific call. And as you see here, the interesting part is that the subtitles in YouTube are actually a huge array. So what we need to do after this, you see, it's like huge array. You couldn't work with this because it's all divided in 4 keys. Once we have the call, we're actually again, let me see here. Opa. We are iterating. Oh, it's not Telegram. We are iterating through this array, which comes out of here. Save. Okay, so it's complaining about something. Let me see, what is it complaining about? Yeah, I didn't save this. Okay, save. Perfect. Iterating. Select the data. Okay. So obviously this data, we will need to do the call once, that you want to use. So now also you can learn something new. You can just run this module, and the YouTube ID obviously is a variable that is not as filled, but we will hard code it. And then you see it's actually getting the subtitles. Here's the data, subtitles, and this is a huge array, which cannot even load here. So be careful because it can break your make. And then here I just select subtitles and save it. So now it's actually iterating through the array, which means it's creating one bundle per array entry, which we will need because then we can aggregate it again as a full text, right? So this is what we're doing now. We're using a text aggregator, and as a source model, this one, and the text. Voila. Okay, amazing. So now let's rename the modules. This is also best practice YouTube link parser. Link parser. So you can leave this, then rename set YouTube. Rename set YouTube ID. Grab subtitles for latest. Iterate through subtitle array, and then create full transcript. So just a refresher so you understand these data transformations. So what happens here is that, as we've seen, let me see the results. We need to run this again. As we Yeah, give it 1 second. Exactly. So you see here, the result of this API call is an array. What is an array? An array is basically a data structure where instead of just one item, you have basically a list of items, right? And so in programming, you wouldn't be able to work with this list if you don't aggregate it, because the list means there is a lot of different data points. And in Make, I would only be able to select one specific data point and work with that. So what I actually do is I take the whole list and then I have an array, which is kind of, you can imagine this is a menu in the restaurant, and I order 5 items. So what is happening then? The waiter, which is the iterator, goes to the kitchen and takes one item at a time, and then on the table, actually, they all aggregated, so they're all in one place. But in the kitchen, no. Yeah, I don't know if this is a good example, but still. um, Either way, you basically iterate and you aggregate, and then here you will have a full transcript. Long story short. And here we have a router, because now we work with a few different routes. Okay, great. So we're actually through the most difficult part of this automation. The rest is mostly modules that are easy to use, and you might know already if you watch some other tutorials that I did. So in this case, I just copy this one, and what we're doing here is, I'm copying it because it already has the filter. So what we're doing here is we say, in case that the text that we're creating does not exist, which means that sometimes this RapidAPI call doesn't work. And so it would lead to an empty text. And in this case, we would basically create an error message that is sent back in Telegram, right? So let me see, message, chat ID. I'm always struggling in Telegram to find exactly here. Message chat ID and message thread ID, which I think we need to send. So this one we'll fill out later. Alligator. Okay, then we actually do the same, but we call it success message. Yeah, let's delete it. Copy it from here. Suck. No, suck. And here you see we have a filter that checks if the text exists. So if it exists, we can say it's a success. And message chat ID. The thread ID we will fill out later. Save. Okay, yeah, that's no problem. We know that. We'll look at it just later. And now we will include the main ChatGPT module, which I'm also getting from my pre-built modules just for sake of efficiency of this tutorial. And you will see here I have my specific ChatGPT connection. What we're doing is we're creating a chat completion, and I'm using, and this is very important, the GPT-4 1106 preview system, because this one has a very high token limit, so it's capable in one go to take the transcript of the whole video and actually summarize it. Then I have here a specific system prompt, and I also have here a specific user prompt, which we will update to take the text from this automation. And you see what I did here is actually that I want a sentence as a content summary of the transcript. So I want a 1-sentence summary. Then I want the top 5 key takeaways and another 200-word summary. So I'm really getting most of the juice out of the video in just one simple prompt. And what I then do is I create a variable. Okay, I create a variable which is the choices message content, and I'm creating it so I can use it later in the automation summary. Exactly. I'm creating it here in this route because I want to use it in the route afterwards, and so in this case I need to create it as a variable. Oops, save, and then we're also sending. Then here we are also sending all of this back in Telegram chat ID. Nope, not edited. Message chat ID, this one, and we send back the summary. Voila, and the message chat ID we update. Okay, great. Now, what we also want to do is have all of this in a Notion databank. Okay, great. So what I did now, I didn't record it, but basically I just sent a test link to my Telegram bot so that I can actually use the variables that that we need. So here you see we already had the text, but basically the one variable which was missing, if you remember, is the message thread ID, because for some reason it's not shown if you don't run the webhook once. And now let me check where it is. Okay, so actually I realized that we don't need the message thread ID in this case. I used to need it when I would integrate the bot inside of a group where actually with like sub threads where I would need to specify in which subthread the bot would reply. If you just write to the bot directly, you don't need it because the answer would just come through the one message chat that you use. So this makes it even easier. Well, we're almost done. I actually realized I forgot something here, which are two things. One is a little sleep module, which 5 seconds will be enough, because we're going to do another call to RapidAPI, and given these calls are very fast and there is a limit to how many calls we can do per second, I put the sleep so it will be easier not to incur in any errors. And then I post this one, which I just copied, which is also a call. And in this case, it's about the video details because I want to know the author, when it was published, etc., to include it in the Notion databank. And I tag the YouTube ID here. The rest is the same as before. Then I auto align, voila. So this is very important. And then we're already getting at the last part of this tutorial, which is Notion, where we are actually creating a database item. Yeah, we're connecting you. And just so you see, this is basically the database where we say, where basically for each video, I want to have the name of the video, the author, the link, and also the date. Which is the date, which I should probably specify. Published date. Published date. Voila. And so I can go back here. And what we also need to do, remember, for databases in Notion, and I link how to do this specifically in the description, but we need to connect. And I have the connection called Notion at make, and then take this first UID, which is wrong, which is the database ID, which I can put here. And now you will see we find the ID, and we can put here the data that we're retrieving from this call, but again, we need to run this call at least once for it to work. So what we're doing now is we are taking again this ID, zack, voila, and we run it here. So you see now we're getting all the data here, voila, which is great. Now we can use it here, right? Now I need to save, align and save. Okay, now I can use it. Still not, well, sometimes this happens. Then maybe you disconnect and you reconnect. Still not working. Okay, save. Just don't panic, and then you will see exactly now we have everything. So the name, which I should probably call title. Then the link, which is the text coming here. Then we have the date, which is the published date, and we have the author here. Let's call this one the title instead. Title, okay. Voila, then one thing we also need to do here is to get variable, because as we created the variable here in this route, it won't be available in the other route. But if we set a variable here and get it here, we actually can do that. Let's rename this as well. Set summary. Rename get summary. Voila, and this will rename create database entry. Voila, we're getting there, we're getting there. So the only thing basically now missing in Notion is that we append database item content, because I want to have, here we link to database item ID. I want to have the summary as text here. So the content will be the summary, and okay, that's it, save. And then we'll link also a success message here to the end, which is great, Sending the data, and we see, okay, this is running well. It's getting all the subtitles. Now we have a little sleep, and it's getting the video details. Okay, summary in progress. This is working. Now it's creating the summary and all the details. So let it, wait a few seconds for it to create it. And then bam, I forgot apparently to put the name, because obviously name doesn't exist anymore. I need to refresh here. I skipped, and now it's title. So now it's okay, it will be working. Let's save this down. Well, what we see is that actually in the in Telegram everything worked. So you see here the summary in progress, the takeaways, everything works. But obviously the database entry didn't work. So let's run it again, just for the sake of completeness. Voila, this should work now. I'm double check title link. Okay, the title is there, right? Title, okay. Let's save. Okay, let's run it once again to make sure actually that everything works. And send. And now let's see. But I'm pretty confident this will also go through successfully and actually to the end, including Notion. Okay, I got the message, summary in progress. It's taking longer, obviously, because it's a long summary that needs to be, or it's a long transcript that needs to be analyzed here. ChatGPT is really giving it all, and bam, it's working. So we created a new database entry and we appended some content. Let's check, let's refresh here the database, and voila, you can see we have the future of work, also then co, link, publish date, and if we open, we have all the details. Thank you for listening.